Look at that. No one has a Windows phone anymore.
Yeah, true.
Jesus.
Hey, give us a crisp.
No,
Come on, give us a crisp.
they're my crisps.
Come on, give us a crisp.
Apparently you've just had a crisp.
No, I already had that one.
No.
Come on, look, just share, man, share!
Hi guys, welcome to another Overbite Gaming review, and today we are reviewing
Quantum Break.
bleep, 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 timey triangles.
Yeah, maybe. You're asking a lot of effects there, dude.
Yes.
But yes, Quantum Break is a game recently released on Windows 10 machines and Xbox One to quite mixed reviews.
Yes,
elsewhere.
fair.
So today we're going to take you through what we think about Quantum Break. And where do you want to start, Lee?
I think we should start with the graphics, because they're the things that you see first, because
Yeah.
they're graphics and they hit your eyeballs and things.
Yes. Graphics themselves, we've got kind of differing views after a bit of discussion on this.
Yeah,
I think that they've done something very bold in graphics. They've tried to use as much of a realism of real actors as possible. They've tried to integrate it in with a TV show, so you get a bit of a TV episode as well as playing the game while you're playing the game, and it matches up quite well. You know, you don't seem to think that the characters are different, some kind of rendered character, and then you see a full motion video of them, which is a phrase you don't really hear a lot anymore because
No.
it's generally just film.
it kind of ran its course when CDs came out, and they're like, we put video on, we're shit.
Yeah, so the split between the two is good. I personally really liked the graphics. They, like I said, there was something that made it interesting. There was like something new. Somebody hasn't tried. Since LA Noire was the last game I remember having this kind of attempt to do something so real.
I think quality-wise, I think Until Dawn attempted it as well. It wasn't as good animation-wise, but then it was running at a lower frame rate than what we played it at.
Yeah.
For parts, anyway.
So I know that I'm kind of on the good positive side of it. So why don't you like it? put words in your mouth.
Yes, put words in my mouth. Leave it at words, thank you. What I don't like about it is there's this grainy filter over it all, which I don't know if they've done it to try and like keep performance up or whatever, but it just makes it look horrible and filthy and unclear. I don't know if they've tried to like make it more like a movie, just so it blends in with the HD TV footage. I don't know. But there's other problems. There's lighting problems as well. When you get Jack Joyce, the main character, up close to a light, it looks like his head's fucking glowing. It's so oversaturated. It's ridiculous. Or he just looks like a pair of eyes and a mouth.
Yeah, the parts that I'm very intrigued by, there's little tiny touches they've done. So if you are talking with a character, there and you're in game, so you can move around inside that game world, their face will actually follow you, not just like I'm talking to this person, I'm talking to that person, or that horrible thing where you get people that are stood in a certain way, and it happened in Oblivion and Skyrim, like, in games like that. You'd have this like, yes, I'm talking to you, and it would be really weird. This one, their eyes will actually follow you if you get a decent angle to see it. Their eyes will follow you and not move their head, which I thought was a really nice touch.
Yeah, they've definitely tried to like give the face a realistic level of animation, but they don't seem to have done a proper job of it because
They've cut corners, haven't they?
they've cut corners basically. So you have the emotions on the faces, but then there's no transition between them. So imagine you're talking to someone that you hate, and you're talking to his face. You're like, as soon as he turns his back, you're like, that's kind of what they look like. They have an emotion, and then they just go back to like regular status.
Yeah, I personally see this as a nice stepping stone to somebody doing a better job of this kind of stuff. It's important to have games like this where they try and do new things, to do things that will open up the envelope of what you can do in that space. So while this game might not be the perfect mark of it, which you obviously don't think it is, and I don't think either, it's close to where we want to be, to a time when actors can actually use their face as well as their voice in games. And you'll see, we've seen over the last 5-10 years a lot more actors get involved in games. Certainly back in the day there was a couple. Mark Hamill was involved in Wing Commander.
Yep.
You had a number of people in Command and Conquer, those kind of games. When the full motion video started to come about, people were getting involved in those games. Now it becomes a thing. You've got like a high profile actor,
Yeah, Beyond Two Souls would be a perfect example of that.
Yep, absolutely. Which was a great game, by the way.
Yes, we both enjoyed that.
So that's on the graphics side. It's a nice compact thing. Now we haven't actually spoken anything about the game yet.
No.
So we just want to jump onto the graphics.
Yes.
Because that's the bit you see with your eyeballs. So, story. Let's talk about what the game actually is.
Okay, the game is a third-person action game where you run and gun. You also have timey-wimey powers.
Timey-wimey.
And it's intercut with, as Stan said, FMV episodes are about 20 minutes each. So you play a section of game, you make a decision, and that decision affects the TV episode that you see. Which
definitely surprised me when I was actually streaming this game. Picked up, I played the first bit.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lee. I started to play the first part, got near the end, I thought, this would be quite a good game to stream. Started playing, and it was right at the point where I was making the first decision that you make in the game, and it ran into a TV show, which I was like, I need to watch this, so sorry guys. So my stream was watching TV on my stream. It was very weird. Probably going to get flagged on that.
Yes, but the problem with it is because, unlike the Xbone version for some reason, on its minuscule hard drive, you can download the TV show. On the PC, you have to stream it, and Snare had more problems with that than I did because he's got a slower connection.
Yes, I did. It was jerky. It was stuttery. It took me out of the kind of, the comfort zone of just watching something cinematic happen. It was just a bit... the actual episodes were quite good. You've probably got a good film's worth of film in this game.
Yeah, it's about 80 minutes of it, I'd say.
Yeah, so you do get a nice amount of stuff to see, but it was a bit juttery and it just could have been optimised a lot better.
Yeah, the actors did a great job. There's a lot of character actors that you've seen from things like Fringe, the X-Men movies, obviously Shawn Ashmore is the lead in it, and a few other things like Breakout Kings. But they do a fine job. I think the editing in some of the videos could have been tighter because you get scenes where you watch one guy come down a ladder and then walk all the way along a corridor and you're like, did we really need to see him do all of that? You could have just implied it.
Yeah, there are nice elements of those videos, those actual film parts, TV show parts, that if you do something in game, there is a certain moment you choose to pick up something or change something or notice something, and it'll appear in the TV show. And when it appears in the TV show, it doesn't feel like it's literally been jammed in. It's kind of, it feels like it's part of the actual scene it's inside. It does work, so well done to the props for that.
Yeah, going back to the gameplay, because we seem to have wandered.
Yes.
It's got those horrible problems that you get with a lot of third-person action games that allow you to jump. In the fact, Jack will jump only where the game will want Jack to jump. I was in a boss fight right at the end of the game and got insta-killed because he wouldn't jump over like a foot-high wall. Instead, he sort of jumped in the air and sort of did a little kick against thin air, and it apparently stopped him.
What I was going to say about the actual game itself, in terms of like story and gameplay and things, is we haven't told you about what happens in the game because that's kind of important to review.
Yeah, it's a very story-based game.
You must know by now it's timey-wimey stuff, right? Yeah. So you get involved in a classic origin story of an explosion that gives you powers. That's kind of it, but you kind of learn those powers as the game goes on.
Imagine Infamous if it was time and not electric.
That's very... Do you know what? That's awesome. That's insightful.
Story-wise, anyway. I think
insightful.
Gameplay-wise, Infamous did a far better job, personally.
Yeah, but they address things that about time in a way that's easy to understand. There's a lot of suspension of disbelief. My main problem with the kind of the story as it goes on is you've obviously walked into this facility at the start of the game where an explosion happens and sets all the game in motion. But what happens is that this guy that you meet when you're playing as the protagonist, the guy that you meet at the start of the game is an old friend of yours and just says basically, "Oh yeah, we've built a time machine."
And he's like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah, there's no fucking question there. There is no like, what? You've done what? It's like, oh, that's cool. Oh, I've become an accountant. Oh, that's good. There was nothing there. There was no feeling, like no like surprise. It's like, whoa, time machine. Let's push this button. Totally safe. No black holes. No like ripping time and space apart. No problem. So this explosion sets off a chain of events that will basically make time stop.
End.
It's literally like the end of time. Not end of times, but the end of time.
Yes.
So you play as Jack Joyce predominantly. You do change characters around or play as different people.
Yeah, you play
as one other, sorry.
Generally, when you make decisions, you switch roles to the antagonist.
Which is a nice touch.
Which is a nice touch. But the decisions, it paints the decisions you make as you're looking at it and going, how is that going to affect Jack? So you're trying to like almost screw over the antagonist for the sake of the protagonist by making him make stupid decisions. So
unusually, like in a game like this, I'd expect the main characters to have much more elaborate names. And in this, it's Jack and Paul, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like Paul, bad guy. Jack, good guy.
Beth, tight ass.
It didn't really suit them, but it did kind of suit them. I just expected if it was time and being grandiose and epic.
Come on, every hero under the sun has been called Jack for the last 20 years.
Yeah, but I don't know. It didn't sit that well. And the antagonist is played by the guy who plays Littlefinger in Game of Thrones, if you're familiar with that.
That's why I was doing this weird thing earlier.
Yeah, I didn't get that reference because I was thinking about something else. But yes, he is. And he kind of still plays a decent kind of...
slimy person.
Yeah. But yeah, so this happens and then you get given these time powers and then you're off just basically on the run from the big corporation. It's very interesting. I found the story very intriguing. Certainly by about halfway through, I wanted to find out what happened. I think it's in 4 chapters.
Yeah.
4 or 5 episodes. I think 4, isn't it?
One of the... there's 4 episodes, so yeah, I guess. But one of the problems I had with it is because the TV show really doesn't have much of the main character in. So I found I was identifying more with side characters than the actual protagonist of the game.
Yeah. Yes, that's a very good point. I think probably he was spending more of his time motion capping for the actual game.
For the shitty jumping, yes. Kick the wall, Sean, kick it.
Yeah, so it's a game where you can probably find yourself enjoying the story. And I would probably advise for a game like this, there's no need to play it on a hard level. I mean, this is a story-driven game, not a how many people can you shoot and your kill death ratios and stuff.
Yeah,
it's nothing like that.
No, it also can have, I wouldn't say brutal difficulty spikes, but there are a few sections which can seem unfair, and I did rage quit on the boss fight after that wall-kicking fiasco.
Yes, I think most people have actually rage quit at that point. So time powers, you get time powers as a result of your explosion antics, which enable you to just throw time grenades, which I really enjoyed that actually. That was my favourite thing. That's a very inspired way to use time. You've also got kind of slowing and stopping time for certain periods.
Yeah, I didn't really understand that outside of the puzzle usage for it because, I've slowed time, I've shot him a ton, and now when that runs out, he'll get hit by a lot of bullets. And you're just like, well, I could have just shot him. Yes,
there was a lot of really obtuse puzzles.
Yes, I didn't really enjoy the puzzle aspect of it.
No, it was very... the gameplay seems to be very regimented and sort of linear. So don't be expecting to go off and explore and sort of... If you're yearning for an RPG, this is not the game for you. You end up having almost like a corridor type game. So you will go to a point. You will have a fight. There'll be some enemies. There might be a new enemy. There might be some more enemies. Then you'll have a puzzle. Then you have to go to somewhere. Then you have a decision to make. It's that kind of formula. Unfortunately, that does repeat, but I think the fun in this game is actually putting those decision points and investing in the story. Do you want Jack Joyce to be successful? Do you want to protect him? Or do you want to take the angle from Paul Serene? I think it's Serene, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, Paul Serene, from his point of view. So I really enjoyed that, and then when you're getting a bit deeper and darker into the story, that becomes very important. Those decisions will result in differences in the gameplay to a point. There's always an illusion of free will in these games because they can't code for unlimited things to happen.
No, I mean, it certainly does suffer from sort of the telltale sort of syndrome, in where you're making different choices, but it's always dragging you back to sort of the main storyline.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't got a problem with that. The illusion of free will and illusion of choice and stuff is fine if it maintains that illusion. If you end up with a decent payoff. Unfortunately, the payoff you get at the end of this game, I don't think warrants the price tag, which is at the moment 50 quid.
Yeah, it's exorbitant. It's not even paired with like the Xbone version. It's actually more expensive on the PC than buying a physical Xbox disc.
Yeah, and it's only available on Windows 10 machines as well. So it doesn't justify the price tag. It doesn't justify the effort you put into it, which unfortunately is only about 7 hours-ish.
Yeah, I'd say around about that.
You're 4 to 8 hours.
And don't forget you're watching 80 minutes of video in that as well.
Yeah, that's including the video time. So at the end, I was expecting to have another TV show.
Yeah, you would, because of the format they set it up with. You were expecting the game to cap off with like another episode, and it doesn't. You're just like, oh, yeah, it's the main menu.
It does point to a sequel, and they'll probably get it. I hope they do. I mean, I'm intrigued to see what happens next. They were kind of feeding a few things in.
Yeah, they definitely left a few story hooks dangling.
So I would like to see a second one. Not at 50 quid though.
No,
please bring it down a little bit.
I think it was closer to 60 when I bought it.
See, it's just too much for that kind of game. But generally, the actual I was playing too much of The Division before I started playing this. So cover was a different concept in those two games.
Oh, absolutely.
So with Division, you literally choose a cover point and you can run to a cover point. It's fine, but in this game, you literally just move your character. And in The Division, I was playing on keyboard. You were playing on gamepad?
Yes.
Yeah. Using the keyboard in Quantum Break is not a good idea. There's too many buttons to push for certain kind of actions you have to do quickly. It would work much better as a gamepad. One of the big problems I had was pushing the fucking spacebar. In Division, that's for you to go to a new cover point if you can see it. In this game, it means he jumps over the tiny bit of cover you have and you get shot. Every time!
Yeah, the shooting, the gameplay and the shooting is okay. It's nothing out of the ordinary, but it also detracts from the time powers, because a lot of the time you don't need to use those. There's like these big guys that are armored on the front, and they've got like a little device on their back. Now you use a time dash maneuver which sort of slows him down as well to get behind him and shoot that bit. But that's really the only time I had to use time powers.
I think, to be honestly, though, if you were playing at high difficulties, you probably have to start using those more.
Yeah, you would need to take advantage of more tools. Yeah,
but it is wasted on the easy. Yeah. And you'll obviously get less enemies. I think in the classic ramping up of difficulty, just throw more baddies at him. Yeah. So I don't think that really would matter too much, but it can get pretty hairy even on easy when you kind of don't know what you're supposed to be doing.
And you have these guys that zip around you, time dashes like you do, and you're behind cover, and all of a sudden there's one right behind you.
Yeah, literally about to pistol whip you.
Yeah.
One thing I do like, when you kill an enemy in a stutter, which in the game means time kind of stops and starts going.
Like a stutter.
Yeah. Thank you. In those moments, you actually have ability. Once you've killed someone, they kind of go out of your time sort of space back into normal time, so they're not moving. They'll have been shot, but they'll be like that. But you can go up and you can move them, and a little tiny thing like that I appreciate. I mean, someone's thought about that idiot that's going to go around pushing dead bodies in a frozen time period.
I just imagine.
But with the time troopers, or whatever the hell they're called in the game, they leave a trail from their backpacks, which I think is very nice too. But they do sort of pop back, which I didn't like so much. Never mind.
Yeah, they also have an annoying habit of jetting off just as you have managed to target them.
So if you're looking for a game that basically supplies you with a bit of action, a fairly decent story with a suspension of disbelief, and a whole host of fucking product placement for Windows stuff,
Yes.
It's unreal. Like, everyone in this game, in this universe, there is no iPhones. There are no Samsungs. There is nothing else but Windows phones, tablets, etc.
Well, to be fair, it was made by Microsoft Studios and is available exclusively on Microsoft consoles and PCs.
And don't you know it? No, seriously, I actually know of one person I know of that has a Windows phone.
And no one talks to him.
I don't text them anymore. But no, some people do have Windows phones, I know that, but it seemed like it was a bit like every time someone has a phone call, they'll do a little, oh, I'm just going to take this phone call. Can you see the Windows logo on the bottom there?
Tiles.
Oh, here's an important tablet that's got some sciencey-wimey stuff on it. Okay. Oh, there's a little Windows logo on the bottom. It was a bit kind of in your face, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have problems with product placement in games and movies because there's product placement in the real world. So if you're making a game or movie that's trying to be realistic, it needs to be in there. I don't understand why people are like saying, oh, we shouldn't have billboards showing Coca-Cola. Because we have billboards showing Coca-Cola in the real world.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a bit kind of in your face, that was all. It was just like, oh, it's Microsoft, here's a Windows phone. Oh, ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. It was like that.
I hope it wasn't like that. It was terrifying.
No, it was fun. So, yeah, as we mentioned earlier, the boss fight at the end, which there is a boss fight, kind of comes out of nowhere. It doesn't really sit in the game that I played very well.
It's kind of cheap and underwhelming at the same time.
Yeah, cheap is a good way to describe it. It just kind of, it happens and you just feel like, why is this going on? Like, what is the driver for this thing happening? I don't get it. It's come out of nowhere.
Yeah, and there's lots of insta-kills, which are annoying. And not only is it an insta-kill, it's an insta-kill with a shitty checkpoint system. So what it does is, you die in the boss fight, you go back to the previous part of gameplay. It then has a cutscene, which if you skip, it needs to load the next part of the game. Just, if you're going to have an insta-kill, make the checkpoint right at the start of the boss fight. Right there.
Yeah, it's a simple thing. There is some exploring to do with some of the secrets you can end up having shown in the films, the TV show parts.
There can be a lot of reading if you want to check every email you pick up and all of that as well.
There is lots of that. There's also a lot of kind of interviews with things. If you've done a certain amount of things in a level, you'll get a sound bite, that's not in game. It's outside of the game, but in the kind of mythos of Quantum Break, of characters' interviews, that kind of thing. So it does kind of enrich it, but it's not in the game.
No.
So if you have to go and find it in the extra menus. But it's fine. It's a nice extra thing to have, especially at £50. You want to get every last piece of entertainment you can.
I'm not sure sitting there and listening to audio logs for however many minutes is my version of entertainment.
But you mentioned Infamous earlier, and in Infamous, when you picked up Dead Drops, which was the same kind of thing, really, it's like a evolving story as you picked up more and more. It would be playing as you're playing the game, and that was a good way to do it. But that was more actiony based, and this game might get in the way of other stuff that's being exposed as the story goes on. So maybe.
Also, Jack runs really weird.
Yeah, he kind of saunters like this. That's how he runs. Like that. It's weird. And I have one thing I don't like as well about the control system is because of the weird third-person view. It's very Gears of War-y.
It's sort of offset.
It's offset. So when you are running where you think he's running straight, the camera is kind of twisted. So it's like the centre of your view is centre, but he's kind of pointing at it at a different angle. So when you're running, you're constantly trying to keep it. Die quietly when I'm explaining something good.
Yeah, it was excitement.
But you constantly have to just rearrange like the viewpoint, and it's a bit off-putting. But you do get used to it, but it just doesn't feel natural.
No, I mean Alan Wake had a similar problem as well. It was always. Like playing on keyboard and mouse, you'd be running the wrong way. On a joypad, it was slightly better, but he still looked like he was running across the screen rather than towards the back of the screen, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's a shit ton of Easter eggs about Alan Wake in this game. I will say it now.
Oh yeah, they were done by Remedy, weren't they? They were the same guys that did this game.
If you start to play this game and you go into the lecture hall, there's a whole blackboard about Alan Wake.
I didn't even realise that, and so that's a very apt comparison on my part. And I'm putting on my smug face.
There's a lot of people playing games in offices and stuff that you can go and see, and they're doing crazy things. So there's a lot of like nods to games and stuff like that. It's good. So what do you think about actually recommending this game then, Lee?
I wouldn't at its current price wait for it to come down. You're paying for essentially 7 hours of entertainment. 18 minutes of that is you going to be watching full motion video. The game itself isn't above mediocre in my opinion, so I wouldn't go out of the way and spend a lot of money to play it like we did, a bunch of mugs that we are. But certainly if it comes down, give it a check out. It's an interesting concept. It tries to do some stuff, doesn't get them all right. The TV show by itself is fine to watch, but is that what you're after if you're buying a game?
To be honest, if this had come out as a film, you probably would have spent half the money going to see it at the cinema with snacks. Maybe. But lots of snacks for this price.
Yeah, lots of snacks for 25 quid.
Yeah, but, you know, I'm one of those people that will go to the cinema, see a film and then buy it on DVD, so it's kind of like, you know, maybe Blu-ray, sorry, not DVD. DVD. But no, I personally like this game a lot. I really have to applaud them trying to do something different and doing that boldness. The pioneers never get it right in these kind of things. So hopefully someone will come along, or the same developer house could start doing something else as a sequel that would be addressing the things they got wrong here, maybe, but someone else will do it better. That's how evolution works. So I agree that you have to wait for it to come down in price a bit, but it's a good game. It's got lots of stuff to get into. The story is compelling-ish. I enjoyed it. So marks out of 10. What do you reckon? I would give it probably a 7.
6.
So it's kind of that mediocre range. But to be honest, if you can get it for a cheaper price, it won't do you any harm playing it. You'll probably have a good time.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
So that's our review of Quantum Break. Thanks for joining us, guys, and we'll catch you next time for another beautiful review or Let's Play. They come out every Thursday and Saturday because we're awesome like that. So we'll catch you next time.
Take it easy, guys.
Bye.
But in this case,
okay.
you can actually spot the enemy and not trigger them. So you can set all you guys up on Overwatch, then have a shot at one of them. They all react, and all of a sudden, all your other guys are shooting them as they're moving in.
I did have one of the early missions where I had to kill all the enemies. And one of the
so you're not pressing space. So you highlight with the mouse, press space. Highlight with the mouse, press space.
Yeah, and like to junk stuff, you have to select and then push a key, and then go somewhere else and push a key. You want to select a mark. It feels really messy. Not to go into too many minutiae.